Hello, welcome back. Trust you all are doing amazing. So excited to be here. I'm Margaret Massery, your Heartfelt CFO, and really looking forward to today's topic around business feeling really heavy. And I want to actually start with a story and give an example of something interesting that happened over the course of the past few days that I thought was really profound to share. So, what I did was I started to be more up and coming around AI and the bots and those things. And I built a bot for our website around helping people navigate our website if they have questions around the appointment scheduling and all the in between questions that would help people land to the calendar and attend to the needs. And the interesting thing around it is that in the conversation, I saw how the pattern of what was happening to the person was that they were basically on their own way because all of these different things were happening, but at the same time, they wanted help. And at the same time, they were facing all these limitations around things of why they're not a good fit. It can't happen. It's too much money. Maybe it's too much money. Maybe you're not the right fit. Maybe you're too fancy. Maybe you're too out there and too busy. Like all of this out there stuff. And the business is built to meet you where you're at and to take you from there along the change journey that is right for you and the change journey of where you are. The question is when you step into services like this, is that are you ready to be led? Are you ready to really be part of the process of what you're really asking for? That's really what it's about. Business feels heavy when it's all on our shoulders. And when it's all on our shoulders, we feel like we have to solve everything. Some of you that are in spirituality, you're probably in this world of also of like, outsourced to the universe. The universe has so much more, or the 3D versus the 5D, or just the reality of when to take the leap for outsourced help. Now, in case you are new to my channel, welcome. We are here every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12, and we talk about business, tax, and all of the in between, and money, and leadership, and CEO, and CFO, of all the different things that happen around business. And, this week's topic around business feeling heavier, it's a really constant theme all over the place. I even find myself in it too, to be honest, in a lot of different ways, moving more into structure, moving more into, programming of things of around, deeper and larger commitments, containment, a lot of different things around structure, the right programs, fixing the apps accordingly to run the things, and what are the steps are when we find out the things of the in between, and things of that nature. And I say going back, into today's topic, why growth starts feeling heavier when you're winning. So like you think you're winning because you're making a lot of money, but then the growth is feeling heavy because a lot of it is not taken care of. So a lot of operators expect growth to create more freedom, momentum, and opportunity. And for a while, it really does. But eventually, operators discover that something unexpected happened. Whew, it's like a deep breath. That growth is not a deep breath, it feels heavier. So it starts to take your breath and start to take you down. I actually saw this exchange around this. Oh, hold on a second. I actually saw this exchange on, I think it was Instagram, and they were talking about stress, how somebody was getting a lot of texts around stress, and he was talking about how a lot of people were he was talking about how a lot of people were mentioning him because he looked stressed. And he happened to mention how many clients he has and what that really involves. And maybe it was coming from a leadership standpoint, maybe it was coming from a real standpoint of like, how do you handle this? It's a choice. It's a choice to have 250 plus clients. It's a choice to see it as stress, or it's a choice to see it as, how do I hold more that it's not taking a physical toll on me and what's really happening. So the systems, decisions, and structure that worked at 5 properties often look different at 20. The business grows, but the infrastructure underneath it doesn't always grow at the same pace. That's when operators begin to experience things like slower decisions, uncertainty around cash, increased operational pressure, less confidence in what they're seeing. And I actually have a client in this situation right now, and he specifically asked for his tax return to come before his tax review meeting. And almost intentionally, I really didn't send it, because where it left at last time, it was a real alignment. But what happened in between is that he had so much advancement that the tax return didn't reflect it. Now, I didn't react because I know what my work scope is, but the client didn't tell me. And what I did is that I looked at what it was saying versus what we know, so that when we have the conversation, there is that gap to address. So going back into here, 5 properties verse 20, buying things, remortgaging, all of these different things go into the infrastructure of around proper accounting and tax and systems and processes. So that's when operators begin to experience things like slower decisions, uncertainty around cash, less confidence in what they're seeing. So visibility is becoming harder to maintain. And I want to reintroduce to you the clarity assessment that I created so that you can see where you're at, because there's 4 steps to the process. And I've seen clients from 50,000 to several million and billions that they can reach all of the different levels. But what matters is that we master and what we know each level is needed so that the growth and the expansion doesn't break. And it doesn't overwhelm debt, and it doesn't overwhelm profits to the degree that the owners can't take money. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that if the portfolio is growing, everything must be working. But growth hides a lot. Hence why I want to bring us back into the operational pressure points, the infrastructure weaknesses, and the hidden visibility gaps. And I want to invite you today to take that assessment with me. While you're here, scan it, take it right after. It's not going to take long. And it's built to tell you where you're at. So we have your keys and clues for your next steps. Once we have your keys and clues for your next steps, we know how to operate. We know what to do. We know where we're going. And the roadmap is just off to the races. So one of the we talked about this. The issue is not usually the next acquisition. The issue is whether the business underneath that acquisition is prepared to support it. Because eventually growth stops being limited by opportunity. It's limited by infrastructure. And I want to talk about that. Limited by infrastructure, meaning, so you have all these properties and it doesn't have a place to go. There's no records, there's no bookkeeping, there's no process to track expenses. So all of a sudden you're expecting the tax return to really catch all from what's happening, which is really, really not possible. So let's reframe this. Growth is not the challenge, supporting growth is. Revenue does not equal readiness. More revenue does not automatically create visibility, structure, confidence, and stability. So, do you have more revenue? Do you have visibility on it? And take yourself through each of those steps one by one. I would also invite you, as you're doing this and as you're listening to this, feel free to hit reply. Feel free to hit comment and let us know the answers to this so that we can all start to normalize all of this and really start to feed off of each other to help on things so that we can move forward and progress. So the real question now becomes, is the business prepared for where I'm trying to take it next? Because the next stage of growth requires more visibility, more structure, and more financial leadership. So are you taking on another acquisition, but you really can't afford it, but it's technically a good deal? It is often a stage where operators begin needing deeper direction. And this is where I want you to think about where you're trying to go. Are you strengthening before the flex? Are you taking the flex so that you think it's actually going to just happen, but the steps are not aligning? I want to invite you to book a session here to assess. And in this session, we go deeper. You bring your stuff to me and then we work through it. And not only do we work through it, but we find money. We make money happen. And it may be that it may be debt that we find, and it may not be true cash yet, but it's going to be the leaky hole that's going to bring you to your next keys and clues to your next steps. This is what I do with all my clients and what I invite you to do here in a very pointed, directed session. Now, let's say you're listening to this and you want to take it in a totally different direction. I invite you to still do that, because whatever is helping you take those next steps, I have that infrastructure to bring you into so that it's not overwhelming and that it all has a place to go. So the shift is the real estate wealth operating system, reactive management to structure through visibility, structure, and scale. Visibility, structure, and scale. What changes when visibility improves? Decisions become easier, cash becomes easier, leadership becomes less reactive, and growth is easier. It's not even just to support it, it's also to just make the moves. The transformation, the business becomes easier to lead and evaluate and scale. So growth creates the opportunity, but not uncertainty. What stage are you in? And regardless of where you're at, I cannot wait to see you through the assessment and walk you through together our clarity session so that we can see exactly where you're at, fine tune where you're at, figure out where you're at, whatever it is, meet you with a hello and take you to the next steps. So once you take these links and then you follow through, we can actually work together in a more comprehensive and a teamwork setting so that whatever is going on, we can find you your next steps, whether it could be tax return, whether it's leadership, whether it's firing somebody. There's so many different things. And I tell you this, just to leave you with a story. I have a client of mine who he didn't want to give this payroll handbook. And he's been sitting on this, I don't know, it's like maybe 6 months, maybe more. And what happened in there is that the situations that the book was attending to actually happened, which created more downfall, more expenses, more issues, more turmoil, and more things to rough out and to work out, because the people were being impatient and it was like overweighting. Now, I've been there myself, and what I can tell you is that that's the expense. That's expensive. And that's the true definition of expensive, is the waiting, the resistance, and the procrastination. But when you know the issue, it's let's take that step, let's charge through, and let's work together. And I cannot wait to do this together with you. So ideally take the assessment before the clarity session. Well, if you jump into the clarity session, that's great too. And I welcome you. Thank you all for listening. I cannot wait to talk to you more. And I look forward to our next session together. As always, any questions, let me know. Feel free to tag a friend or to share this with anyone who will enjoy and benefit from the content. Sharing is caring, and let's increase our community together here. Talk soon.